clip of the day.
This is your new word, Europe. Tolerance. There are now tolerance laws on the books, and if you do not understand tolerance, there will be re-education camps for you. Everyone about this is talking about this in Europe. That they will have, there will be re-education programs for those who overstep the tolerance boundaries. So
What?
You won't go to jail if you break a tolerance law.
You go to rehab?
Yep. Yep. Oh, yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
This is right out of the science fiction world.
No, it's out of 1984.
Well, I guess it was supposed to be science fiction.
Yeah, I know. But it's all right. We're getting close to that here, too.
Oh, we've done it a different way. We've done it from the ground up.
Explain.
You just get shouted down. There's no re-education camp. You just get shouted down by the masses.
Right. Yeah, exactly.
The lynch mob. The lynch mob has been a tradition in the United States, and it takes on all kinds of forms, including shouting people down. It's a lynch mob when somebody says something nobody likes, or a group doesn't like, and they make a big fuss about it, and they get shouted down and humiliate you. You might lose your job.
Exactly.
Which is another reason why this show can withstand that sort of pressure.
And this show is going to become increasingly important in your life as a change happened. And I'm a little torn about this particular change. One way because I'm happy for them, another way because it's just funny. But it's going to make our program that much more important to people's lives who are becoming ill from the mainstream media, which is why we are leading the separatists. We are the mainstream media separatists. It's the word, separatist.
I like it.
Yeah, separatist. So this is the report that came over the NPR as our national treasure. I'll play it just a bit. Let me see. But here it is. Actually, Miss Mickey told me about the news before I even found the report. Then I immediately went, "Oh, you're kidding!"
And now for some news about us. NPR, that is. Today, the network named a new president and chief executive officer. 62-year-old Jarl Mohn will take over on July 1st and will be the fifth person to hold that job on either an interim or permanent basis in just 5 years.
That's actually interesting because if you look at the numbers, it's the eighth CEO over 8 years. I mean, it's also the fifth in 5 years, but it's the eighth in 8 years. But they neglected to mention that.
NPR Media, they don't want to make it too ridiculous. It's like a guy who got married too many times.
Now listen to his background, and I'll tell you who this guy really is.
Fifth person to hold that job on either an interim or permanent basis in just 5 years. NPR Media correspondent David Folkenflik joins us now for more on this. David, welcome back.
It's a good name, by the way. Hey, I'm NPR's Folkenflik.
Hey, thanks so much, Jeremy.
Well, first, just tell us what you can about Jarl Mohn and his background.
Well, I literally just stepped out of studio with him to step into this studio with you.
I was brown-nosing the boss.
On the line. He's a very commanding, charismatic guy. He's kind of a media innovator and creator. He helped found the E! Entertainment Network. He was one of the top first executives, MTV and VH1. He's been involved also on the boards of XM Satellite Radio and of...
All right, so I'll stop this report here.
One loser after another.
Jarl...
Did you know the guy when he was at MTV?
Well, let me tell you the story.
I'm waiting.
Jarl Mohn has another interesting credit to his resume, as in 1987, he signed a contract hiring a 6'4" Tourette's guy from Holland to work for MTV.
Oh, he's the guy who hired you?
He's the guy who hired me.
Nice.
However...
What a great story we've got here.
His name was not Jarl Mohn.
Oh.
His name, as people will know him, was Lee Masters. And Lee Masters, I have a little bit of tape from him from the 1980s. Get ready for this. This is the new CEO of NPR.
Kicks 104, Lee Masters, Friday night, 8, 9 to Mid-South, dedication hour tonight between 9 and 10 o'clock. Oh, I can't wait for that. It's going to be a lot of fun tonight, you know. I mean, such good weather and stuff. Going to be warm outside. I want to dedicate a song to everybody in the Mid-South later on. Kicks Kicks 104 with the Summer of 80 Pool and Prize Patrol happening all week long. You keep it on Kicks. We'll be telling you who's going to be where later on.
That's right, everybody. Lee Masters on Kicks 104. Yeah, okay. He was a DJ.
I'm going to assume you're going to have even better clips, but I would give you clip of the day on that one, or find of the day is what it was.
I'll take clip of the day. I'm just going to take it. Screw you. I'm taking it. So Lee Masters, he was a radio guy.
Stop.
Yeah.
So you're telling me that Lee Masters, a kind of a DJ like you, more or less, has become the head of NPR with another, using the internationalist name Jarl Moon.
Jarl Moon. That's his real name. That's his real name.
Or is Lee Masters got to be a stage name?
That was his DJ name in the 80s.
Yeah.
Yeah. You can look up Lee Masters. He was a top 40 jock, and he'd get fired like everybody else and move from station to station. And MTV in the very beginning ran the network like a radio station. They had Tom Hunter, who was also a DJ guy. Yeah, they were called VJs, exactly. When they tested a video to see if the audience liked it, they called people on the phone and played it to them over the phone. Do you like this video? I kid you not.
I'm sure it's true.
So Lee, who, by the way, was a really nice guy, super nice. I connected with him immediately because he was a radio guy. And he was not but however, this NPR flick and flock guy, Lee Masters, not like first of all, he's 5'4" or something. He's not like a tall guy. And he's not overpowering. He's actually very sympathetic and very calm, and he's not a dick. And not long after I arrived, he hired his buddy to come and work for MTV, John Reardon. And within 6 months, John Reardon had fired him and taken his job. So, Lee Masters, he's just a pussy. Now, he then went to LA, and I also give him more credit than the NPR guy gave him. He took the movie channel. Do you remember the movie channel?
Oh, yeah.
And he turned that into Entertainment Television. He's not just the co-founder, he's the brain of that operation. So that's not just co-founder. No, that was his idea. He totally did everything. He did everything. And so the guy, of course, doesn't have to work at all. But I can guarantee you what's going to happen.
Okay.
Yeah, the NPR is going to become extremely commercial. Let's listen a little bit to the rest of this report. You'll hear what's going to happen to MTR. It's just called MTR.
ComScore, which, as you know, helps to measure digital traffic. So a guy who's thought a lot about broadcasting, about entertainment, and about traffic and how audiences respond. One of the first things I said up to him was, what do you bring from those endeavors? And he said, well, one of the things I really understand are the expectations of audiences and the importance of living up to your mission. NPR is a very different mission than ETV. We're not doing reality radio.
This, by the way, is the stupidity of mainstream media. They're all going, it's going to bring reality television to NPR. It's fucking idiots.
If you will. I'm not going to change what NPR is good at and what people expect of it, but I am going to try to deliver even better on that promise.
And how is he being received so far by NPR's member stations?
Now listen to this. Is interesting. You get a quick little insight to how NPR really works.
Been this conflict about how NPR can move forward, especially with digital stuff, when the bread and butter does come from all of the member stations.
Well, that's right. A significant portion of NPR's revenues comes from fees for the programs, primarily Morning Edition, All Things Considered, but some others as well.
Fees for the programming. You see, you have to understand how your money is working. You donate to your local NPR station, which is just a fraction of their money because really they're selling commercials to all of the businesses around town. That money then goes to the NPR mothership and pays fees for programs like Morning Edition and On the Media. And those people who are commercial production companies make millions. Millions of dollars
that the member stations pay. And as a result, member stations are both clients and insofar as member station executives hold 10 of the 17 seats on the governing board of directors, they are also the bosses of NPR. And it means that we're really a system rather than a top-down network. And that has its strength.
We're a platform. That's what he should have said. We're a platform.
That would have been perfect.
Has a lot of sort of multifaceted arguments and debates about things. One thing that I can say about Moan is, as well as being a benefactor of a number of cultural institutions throughout Southern California where he lives, he's also been a board member of KPCC, that's Southern California Public Radio.
Now, listen to this.
It's one of our largest, most influential member stations, and he's for the last 2 years, been the chairman of the board there, and he's really tried to help them cultivate and reinforce their intention of serving as a civil space for news and information exchange of ideas, even so far as going to help them come up with one of their recent marketing slogans.
John, you live in this market. Do you know the most recent KPCC marketing slogan?
No.
Now, only a guy who, and by the way, nowhere on this report do we hear of his illustrious disc jockey career as Lee Masters. Interestingly enough, only Lee Masters could come up with this slogan.
That he helps reinforce not just their brand, but their mission. And that brand is no rant, no slant.
Woohoo! No rant, no slant.
I do have this. When I was doing real computing and software hard talk on public radio for years, we had nothing but trouble with KPCC. They would never pick up the show.
Oh, they're arrogant bastards.
They're arrogant bastards, and I get the feeling there was some bribe that we couldn't provide.
Yep, hookers and blow. Lee Masters is running the joint, believe me. If you lay down a line or two, put some poontang out, you're good to go. That's how it worked at MTV.
Right.
A slogan he thought of going down the escalator while he's going to pick up his bags at the airport.
He's a genius, I tell you. I was riding down the escalator, and I thought to myself, I'm slanted, I'm no rant, no slant. You know, it's one thing to come up with a slogan, but then to tell people how awesome you are that you just dreamed that up on the escalator.
I am so awesome.
But I'll say I'm happy for him because he's really been, he's a DJ. He needs to be in the limelight, and he's been on all these hoity-toity like MoMA board and all this douchebag stuff. KPCC, and I'm sure he's been hating it.
Well, he's going to commercialize things more, it seems to me.
Well,
I've seen those billboards around Los Angeles, David. But let me ask you, just in the minute we have left, do you think he'll last? Because every CEO seems to get snapped up by somebody else and leave within a short period of time.
Oh, I'm sorry. That's called being fired. Being snapped up by somebody else. Snapped up by the unemployment line.
Well, he's committed to a 5-year contract. I asked him that very question not minutes ago, and his answer is, look, I don't need a job. I mean, he's a very wealthy man. He doesn't need to do anything right now.
I don't need your job.
By the way, stop.
I don't need your job.
Stop.
Yeah.
He could have asked the question 5 years ago because he says not minutes ago. I asked him that question not minutes ago. What does that mean, not minutes ago? That means it wasn't minutes ago. It was God knows when.
MTV days, maybe. I don't need a job. You stinky. I don't need no job.
The answer is, look, I don't need a job. I mean, he's a very wealthy man. He doesn't need to do anything right now.
I don't need a job.
And he's taking this job because he says he believes in this. He thinks that there's opportunity to help wildly increase NPR's revenues and to share those revenues with the member stations in a way that inspires greater collaboration rather than greater.
Yeah, that's what they need it. They have a hole of some like $200-300 million a year because a huge endowment went away, or they spent it, and they got those new studios. They need money. And all of these people, all of these morons who've been put in place there, including the most recent guy, the Sesame Street guy, they don't know how to make money. Lee Masters, he understands, and he understands an audience. Give them the stupid crap they want, and you'll make money. Witness, MTV, but more importantly, because that wasn't really his invention, e-television. He nailed it. He nailed the whole Kardashian audience. And so he understands it. So it's going to be everything every Obama bot would want to hear and then some. It's going to be BuzzFeed. Okay, that's what your NPR is going to become. BuzzFeed, Vox, Vice Media, which, by the way, is taking over the mainstream media. This is really happening. All of these publications, these, what do they call them, John? Listicles? This type of journalism is your future.
Here's another slideshow for you.
Yeah, this is the future of all mainstream media. And make no mistake, BuzzFeed, Vox, Salon, what else do we have? Help me out here. Vice, definitely, by the way. Vice, when people say, hey, this Vice thing looks pretty reliable. Fuck it. No way. No. And it's only good for us because more and more people will be looking for some analysis of some topics, which is about what we can provide. The things that are important, so that at least you can feel good about yourself knowing that, the top 15 things Assad does with his dog is just not going to be the news you really need. That was a good listicle, by the way. We should write that article and sell it.
Well, there's you look on those pages, and there's at the bottom, because they get bought off. Yeah. There's somebody's writing headlines that knows how to write a headline.
Yeah, that's all they do is write headlines.
That's all they do. Click on any one of those things, and it's always a disappointment.